Al Kaline. They'll try and finish off a 4-game sweep from the rival Chicago White Sox. In the American League Central, they were tied when the series began with a doubleheader on Friday, but the Tigers have swept the table so far and now lead the second-place Sox by 3. The Twins won out west earlier today, and they are 4.5 back. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller with Steve Phillips and with Orel Hershiser, 203-game winner in the big leagues. Now, Joe Morgan is in Cooperstown with his fellow Hall of Fame immortals for the induction weekend. Joe will be back next Sunday. Now, Steve, the Tigers are in first place in the Central Division, but it's mainly been pitching and defense that has led the way for them. The offense has struggled. Although Miguel Cabrera, you wouldn't know it by looking at his numbers. At first glance, he still looked pretty good.
Well, 26 years old, Miguel Cabrera is one of the best young hitters in the game. In fact, he just went over 700 RBIs in his career, the 4th youngest player ever to reach that plateau. He's also one of the leading hitters at home. He's getting it done at Comerica Park, but not all hits are equal. Where he has struggled is with runners in scoring positions. Since June 1st, hitting only 128, only 17 RBIs in his last 51 games. So he is the guy that this offense is based and centered around. He needs to get it done. They need to get runners on base in front of him, and he needs to drive them in if the Tigers are going to win.
Well, he'll be facing a young Sox lefty tonight, and he has been pretty tough against lefties, that's for sure. Now, the White Sox saw their ace, Mark Buehrle, pitch a perfect game on Thursday. That moved the Sox into a tie for first with the Tigers just before they arrived in town. But, Orel, the White Sox have lost 3 in a row here, and they're big hitters, and they have a lot of big hitters. They're just not hitting right now.
Yeah, they rely completely on power. Sometimes they play Ozzie ball and small ball, but since 2006, the heart of their order, Jermaine Dye, Jim Thome, and Paul Konerko, no set of teammates has hit more home runs than those 3, but their reliance on power of late, those 3 have been slumping. The heart of the order has been cold. You look at these 3 guys, Dye only 2 home runs in the last 60, 1 home run, 25 at-bats for Jim Thome. Paul Konerko, 2 home runs in 58 at-bats. When you rely on power, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. They have lost 3 games. The Tigers only scored 7 runs, only 2 home runs. The power needs to wake up.
All right, so it needs to wake up right now, because after this they go into Minnesota, where they have never done well. Clayton Richard gets the call. He'll try and be the stopper for the White Sox. 25-year-old lefty, and he was sensational in his most recent start. And the 20-year-old phenom, Rick Porcello, goes for the Tigers. He's a 9-game winner and pitching in a pennant race. Porcello will throw his first pitch to the White Sox when we come back.
And in part by Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, let's build something together. And Charles Schwab, ready to move forward? Do something about it. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab. Bell, think outside the bun. And in part by Lowe's, for all your home improvement needs. Lowe's, let's build something together. And Charles Schwab, ready to move forward? Do something about it. Talk to Chuck, Charles Schwab.
Comerica Park, downtown Detroit. There's Jim Thome, who has hit a lot of home runs against the Tigers over the years. And his manager, Ozzie Guillen, trying to keep his club loose. There's Bartolo Colon in the background. Guillen, 6th season as White Sox manager. He won 2 American League Central Division championships under Ozzie, and of course won World Series back in 2005. Here's the batting order turned in by Ozzie Guillen, presented by Taco Bell. Scott Posednik, and he's been the igniter for the White Sox. He's in center field. Alexei Ramirez, hitting .276, 11 home runs, a sensational shortstop. Jermaine Dive in right field, 22 home runs. Jim Thome, the DH, with 17 home runs for the year. Paul Konerko, 18 home runs. They get a lot of power in the middle of that order. A.J. Przinsky, 4 hits yesterday, hitting .309, the catcher. Carlos Quentin, big year last year, then got hurt, and he was hurt this year, just back recently from the disabled list. Chris Getz, the young second baseman, he's been hitting well in July. And Gordon Beckham, their first-round draft choice last year, signed less than a year ago, and he's become a key man in that lineup, hitting .287. So Posednik getting ready to bat against the young Tigers right-hander, Rick Porcello.
And when you say young, you mean young. 20 years old. I wasn't even out of A-ball when I was 20 years old. This young man is performing at a high level, at the big league level. But one of the things you learn as a youngster, reliance on the sinking fastball, but the secondary stuff. And the curveball is something that is coming along. As you can see, the innings per start at 5.41, only slightly above Jabba Chamberlain. And that because second and third time around the order, the secondary stuff needs to come, and especially the curveball. Taking a look at this young man's curveball, it's outstanding, but it needs to get more consistent, maybe a little sharper, tighter break. Right now it's very, very big, and we're showing effective ones, but you can see it goes up before it comes down. It's sharp, and it's a little bit more of a high school or a minor league curveball, and it needs to get tighter, a lot like that last one, for it to be an effective pitch at this level.
So Rick Porcello ready to face Scott Posednik, Alexei Ramirez, and Jermaine Dye. The first 3 Tigers due up. Porcello just a little over a couple of years out of high school. And here he is on the big stage on Sunday Night Baseball in a pennant race. And ball 1. A sinker running off the outside to Posednik.
That's one of the things to keep an eye on as well. We saw the breaking ball, but one of the outstanding sinkers in the game today. Gets a lot of ground ball outs. Has induced 16 ground double plays this year. So when in doubt, he goes to that 2-seam sinking fastball down and away to the left-handers.
A ball and a strike. And just a little bit low with that sinker. 2-1. You saw he was picked 27th in the first round of the draft, although many felt that he would have gone much higher in the draft, but a lot of teams were afraid they would have a hard time signing him. And he's got an infield hit as Scott Posednik. Adam Everett tried to make the barehanded pickup, and I don't think it mattered one way or the other. I don't think he was going to get the fleet-footed Posednik.
Now, do-or-die play right there by Adam Everett. Take a look at the Tigers defensively, and this is one of the things that has really improved from last season to this season. Their defense dramatically improved. Everett certainly in the infield, a part of that. Ryan Rayburn in the outfield, Curtis Granderson, Megler Ordonez being platoon now as a hitter, playing in right field, has an outstanding arm. And infield-wise, Brandon Inge has really turned the defense around on the left side of the infield with Everett. And Placido Blanco, 57-game errorless streak. He's going right now, and Gerald Laird behind the plate.
So let's see if Posednik stays put or tries to take off. What do you think? Is he going? I mean, they're struggling. They need a win. They need to get something going early on. He's got to go. He's got to ignite this ball club. What's he waiting for? Let's go. Ooh, almost picked off.
I think you better take a deep breath, John. I think you and Posednik should take a deep breath and come back. And Porcello, very quick feet, good athletic ability right here. And they'll kind of fool him as he looked like he was coming up to the set position, the quick feet with the turn over there, and Posednik just getting back in.
That's a pretty good move for a 20-year-old, isn't it?
Reliance on quick feet, like Steve said, and you have to come from many different angles on the way up, on the way down, and set.
And the breaking ball is off the outside to the 27-year-old Alexei Ramirez. You see Posednik And he hasn't stolen that many bases, only 15 steals. A lot of times a team that has 5 or 6 big home run boppers, they don't like to risk the stolen base.
But Ozzie likes to play small ball. He'll use every facet of the game to create offense.
Fastball a strike to the outside to Ramirez. The Cuban emigre defected from Cuba, and last year emerged as a big-time player for the White Sox. Hit .290 and had 21 home runs in his rookie season in the big leagues. And Pacetic dives safely back to the bag. When a guy almost gets picked off right out of the chute, you think that becomes a little bit of a cautionary thing, a warning to him, and he's not as likely to steal when he almost gets picked off?
Yeah, you prevent the jump.
Well, here he goes, but the ball is bounced foul. A little hit-run action there for the White Sox. Pacetic will go back to first with a count of 1 ball and 2 strikes.
White Sox will run a little bit, but they're not one of the premier stolen base teams. You know, a lot of times with leadoff man, you want to get a big lead so that you get to see the move. Remember, this is the first time Porcello has pitched against the Chicago White Sox. So they've seen video, but a lot of times you want to get out there and draw the throw to try to get a feel for the move. And oftentimes a pitcher won't give you his best move the first time he throws over. Porcello did.
Ball ripped into left field. A high breaking ball. Pacetic the second. Ramirez with a base hit. They've got 2 men on, and the big power coming up.
We talked in the open about the curveball and the secondary stuff, and a high breaking ball here. The first curveball of the game for Porcello, and it is a ball. It not only hangs but comes backwards into the swing of Ramirez, and he does a good job getting on top of that pitch. A lot of times you'll see hitters pop that ball up because it overhangs and they expect it to break. He stayed with the pitch and drove it into left field.
Now Jermaine Dye, the White Sox leading home run hitter with 22 big flies, but only 4 hits in his last 30 at bats. And the fastball moves him back a little bit. Ball 1.
We talked to Jim Leyland before the game, and he said for Rick Porcello, he had 17 days off before his last start after the All-Star break, and he came out hyper, a little jumpy. He's working very, very quickly here right now, Oral. He seems like he's a little excited.
It is very hard to get your rhythm when that leadoff hitter gets the chopper. You're 20 years old. You've been struggling of late, have not been on the hill, and you're facing a very famous team tonight. Jermaine Dye, Jim Thome, Paul Konerko. These are resumes when this was a little boy that he looked up to. And those guys are kind of hard to get out when you have to get through the mystery of their resume.
Well, he went ahead and made the throw. He made it look like it was a bluff, and then he went ahead and threw it.
Sednick didn't get all the way back, and he decided, you know, I'll just take a shot at him. But you look at those resumes of Konerko and Thome and Dye at the plate. Now, I remember trying to get Mike Schmidt out and Pete Rose at times when I first got to the big leagues. I'm like, whoa.
Got the high strike.
Yeah, it's like, what am I doing in here with these guys?
You know, it's also a little bit dangerous. You know, Porcello spending a lot of time watching Scott Pacetic on second base. Well, this middle of the lineup, we talked about the power of production. If you don't give them your full attention and you're diverting your attention to the base runners, you've got a chance to make a mistake and get in trouble.
2-1 the count for the dangerous Dye. And got a fastball by him on the inside. 2-2 the count.
Well, a tremendous amount of movement on this pitch right here, the Jermaine Dye. He thinks he's going to get a 2-1 fastball down the middle, and look at the tremendous movement there. That ball's up in the strike zone and it's still sinking. That tells you when he hits his location low in the strike zone, the bottom is going to fall out of it.
Remember, Porcello leads the American League in inducing double play grounders. Put that sinker out of the zone, and Jermaine Dye laid off, and now it's a full count. Jim Thome, another big time slugger, on deck. There's Thome. 60 home runs lifetime against the Tigers. 3-2 pitch. Bounce foul. And I think Dye is fortunate that that was a foul ball. It was a ground ball, a double play in the making had it been fair.
Well, Jermaine Dye is a very good low ball hitter, but with a tremendous movement here, he can start the ball low, Porcello, and have it sink and probably get a ground ball double play down there to Inge at third base. I'd be looking for the ball to be hit to the left side.
And another foul off to the left.
You see that movement on the fastball there. I mean, it kind of sinks down and in, and as Dye tries to take the bat and the ball, he can't center it. He ends up hitting the top of the ball, pounding it down into the ground. But The more looks he gets at that sinker, the more he can make an adjustment and try to go back up the middle.
Keep in mind, this is the first time that any of these White Sox hitters have ever batted against Porcello. First time they've seen him. That one was up, and he fouled it back to the screen. Still 3-2. This is now an 8-pitch at bat. Quite a battle. Porcello on the verge of some serious trouble here with Dye, Thome, Konerko coming up, and 2 men on and nobody out. And you see those numbers: 16 double play grounders induced by Porcello, most in the league.
One like that will settle him into this outing and relax the nerves of going through this lineup. One mistake could really turn this into a debacle.
3-2, the 9th pitch of the at bat, and he walked him. Dye fouled off some tough pitches and finally coaxes the walk, and the bases are loaded for one of the great, most prolific sluggers of his time, Jim Thome. And here comes Jim Leyland out of the Tiger dugout. Not the pitching coach, but the manager himself, to go talk to his young pitcher.
I've got to believe that this is about a chopper, a hanging curveball, and a walk. They're not hitting you. They're hitting the top of the ball when you throw your good sinker. Throw it on the middle of the plate, let it sink, let them work, let the ball work for you.
Jim Leyland's made a career out of young guys being in his rotation, 2 rookies in this rotation. But he's had 7 different rookie pitchers that have gone on to win over 100 games in the major league. So he knows how to nurse and protect young guys.
This is a double play ball. There's one. Well, no. And the ball gets away at first base. And 2 runs are going to score. Posednik had scored as they were trying to get the double play. And it looked to me like Porcello was late getting over there. Also scoring Ramirez as the throw got away. And it is 2-0 White Sox.
We're talking about a right-handed pitcher that falls off towards first base, being late. I think he was so concerned about getting a ground ball. You see him hop up and kind of cheer the fact that he got a ground ball, and then it delays him in gaining ground on first base. You see, oh yes, oh, he got a ground ball. No, and then he got to finally get over there, and that's late. Jim Thome does not run well. The pitcher always should beat him to the bag, and you see how late he is.
2-0 White Sox. And here is Paul Konerko, runner at first. That's Thome with only 1 out. Now the shortstop, Adam Everett, probably should have just held on to that one. He gets charged with the error. By the time he made the throw over there, it was too late at that point. Anyway, and another run has scored as a result of that throwing error.
You know, we watched Rick Porcello. You can see the quality of the stuff. The movement on the fastball is phenomenal. That's tremendous movement. That's well above average movement. We've seen the breaking ball in the video from the past. That's well above average curveball. But he has talent. He has raw tools. But now he needs the skills to succeed at the major league level, and that's the learning curve that he's going through.
2-0 the count to Paul Konerko. Konerko hitting .286, 18 homers, 64 runs batted in. That ball is hit deep into left center field. Way back there and way out of here. Over the wall and then over the bullpen and the back wall. And it's a 4-run first inning for the White Sox. Paul Konerko with a tape measure homer, his 19th home run this year.
Well, a 3-1 get over fastball. Most of his fastballs have been 92. This one at 89 miles an hour. Konerko planted in left field.
The ball one to A.J. Pierzynski. Brzezinski's got the second best batting average of any catcher in the American League behind Joe Mauer of Minnesota. And there is the second out of the inning. 4 runs are in for the White Sox.
Well, you see this pitch right here by K-Zone. It's up, it's flat, it's not that movement. That look from K-Zone brought to you by Cabot Stains. And Paul Konerko stains it over the left field wall. Up and flat just to get over 3-1 fastball.
Now here's Carlos Quentin.
You throw a power hitter a 3-1 fastball, you know, in a fastball count, you're taking something off of it. You're asking for trouble, especially a guy with his kind of power.
You get a fastball right by Quentin, who has not yet found himself since coming back from the disabled list, hitting only .230, missed 45 games with an injured left foot. 1-1 the count. And ball 2. The Tigers bullpen is busy right now. Right-hander Zach Minor getting ready out there. Porcello has been touched up for 4 so far here in the first. 2 down, nobody on. And it's 3-1.
Well, again, a dangerous count. This was the Konerko count. He threw him a 3-1 fastball, and Carlos Quentin's a guy that can do some damage as well. He put up big numbers last year.
And he helped him. Chasing a sinking fastball on a 3-1 count.
Part of the learning curve for a pitcher that gets to come through the minors, where Porcello was there and A-ball is the highest level, then made the team this year, is your mistakes don't get hit for home runs in the minors.
Here's Adam Everett. And the inning is over. But for Porcello, a very bad inning. And Clayton Richard will take them out against the Tigers with a 4-0 lead. Here's the batting order for the Tigers, presented by Taco Bell. Granderson, who had a huge hit late in the game yesterday to win it in center field. Placido Polanco at second base. Maglio Ordonez, now a platoon player, at least for the time, in right field. Miguel Cabrera, the cleanup hitter, hitting .328 for the year. Marcus Thames is the designated hitter. He has enormous power. Ryan Rayburn gets the start in left field. Brandon Inge having an outstanding season, but he is hurting right now. He got 21 home runs. Third base, Gerald Laird, who has solidified the catching spot defensively, and Adam Everett, who's solidified the infield defense at short, batting ninth. And Clayton Richard throws a called strike to Curtis Granderson. Granderson is the only left-handed hitter in the lineup for the Tigers. In this one, Granderson shows one, takes a called strike over the outside. On to the count. And ball 1. Anderson hitting .255, 19 homers, 46 runs batted in. He's sort of an atypical leadoff man. As a leadoff man, he hits more like a number 5 hitter. Oh, a shot right to Konerko, and there is one away.
Well, Granderson lines that one off of 25-year-old left-hander Clayton Richard, who has been a spot starter in this White Sox rotation. Likely to go back to the bullpen. You see his numbers there: 13 starts, 3-3 record, 285 opponents batting average. But that doesn't tell you the whole story. Right-handers hitting him at a 313 clip, and he has struggled with runners in scoring position as well, hitting 377 against him with runners in scoring position.
Polanco takes a cold strike. 4-0. The White Sox leading the Tigers as we play a beautiful, picturesque evening in downtown Detroit. And a fly ball along the right field line. There's Jermaine Dye. 2 men gone. And now Maglio Ordonez will come up. And Ordonez not that far removed from winning a batting title, looking like one of the premier sluggers in the American League. And he had fallen so far earlier this year that finally in early July, Jim Leyland removed him from the starting lineup and then announced, hey, we're going to platoon out there. Clete Thomas is the other half of the platoon. And when you're the right-handed hitter in a strict platoon, that means you're the guy who hardly ever plays, because you face a lefty maybe, what, 25% of the time, 30% of the time at the most.
That is a falling star right there. He is looking for it. He wants it so bad. Pop is gone. Going to see strikes.
And he's gone right here. Strike 3 call. 4-0 White Sox. Rick Porcello right back to the hill. There's ball 1 from Rick Porcello to young Chris Getz. Getz, the White Sox second baseman, and he has had a very fine month of July for the Tigers. Getz out of the University of Michigan, just as is the White Sox starting pitcher tonight, Clayton Richard, and that is in there for a strike. And it's 2 balls, 1 strike to Getz. Getz was all Big Ten first team in both of his seasons at Michigan, and he belts one deep and foul down the right field line. But got a lot of veterans on this team. We've seen the guys like Dye, Tomey, Konerko, Przinski, all in their 30s, and now you've got Getz who's 26 and doing extremely well. And the man on deck, Gordon Beckham, who was signed a little bit less than a year ago, and he has been a sensational player for the White Sox.
Well, the best way to build your team, both for the present and future, is have that combination of youth and experience.
Right center field, there's Ordonez along with Granderson. It is Granderson. Yes, is number one. Now let's go to the studio. Dari Noka with the Sports Center right now. Thanks, Dari. And Gordon Beckham, the hitter. Beckham out of the University of Georgia. And White Sox are just bubbling over with praise for not just his results, but just how he goes about it, how he plays the game.
Well, he's a gritty young man, and is signed as a shortstop, but because of the need at the major league level, has moved over to third base. Got off to a slow start. I mean, he really struggled for his first 13, but has turned things around and maintained the confidence in his ability.
Now it's 3-1 as he faces Porcello. He's hitting .307 in the month of July. They also say he's been an excellent RBI man. He wants to be up there in an RBI spot, and he may get an RBI here. He does. A line drive home run into the bullpen, and it's 5-0 Chicago. Gordon Beckham, 22 years old, with his 4th major league homer.
In his last year in college, he had 28 home runs in the college year, led the nation, and the pop is there. When you first get to the big leagues, you learn to hit for average. Then you relax enough to hit for power. That was some swing.
Scott Pasek, the leadoff man, who got an infield hit to start that 4-run first inning. White Sox 2 home runs in this game already. The curve hangs very high for a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike to Pasek.
The thing that you like about Gordon Beckham did is he watched. 3-1 count for Paul Konerko. He got the fastball that was kind of up in the zone.
This is Cabrera. He'll take it himself, and that is on number 2.
And Beckham says, all right, with 3-1, I'm going to look for a fastball up in the zone, and if I get it, I'm going to look to drive it. I'm not just going to look to make contact or go inside out. I'm going to look to unload on one. You see him sit on that fastball up in the zone. He gets it, jumps out of his shoes, quick to the ball right there. He gets the bat right to the ball as quickly as he can, cuts through the ball. Kind of a slashing approach at the plate. Line drive over the left field wall.
From K-Zone, brought to you by Cabot Stains. As Alexi Ramirez takes ball 1. He singled his first time. Chases that curve, doesn't get it. 1 ball and 1 strike. Beckham hit 28 home runs in his final year at the University of Georgia, setting a school record for home runs. He helped Georgia. That ball is hit way back there down the line, and it is a foul ball. It was a home run by maybe 80 feet or so, but it was foul.
Buehrle, take us through. You got a young guy on the mound. He's scuffling right now. What does he have to do to regroup?
He's got to establish his fastball down in the strike zone. That's his bread and butter, and then work off of that. But he has not established a thing. He's just kind of too high or too low, and then when he goes to throw a breaking ball, it's either too high or too low. And the White Sox now are kind of free and easy up there, 5-0. They're not trying to figure him out. They're relaxed enough. They've already got 5 runs on the board, so they're going to sit back and let him bury himself.
Polanco doing what he always does. That thing he does so well. Fielding a ground ball flawlessly. But another run for the White Sox. Another home run. Chicago leading 5-0 as Miguel Cabrera will come up. Tigers slugger, Miguel Cabrera. And Cabrera has been around such a long time and has done so many things as a big league hitter. It's kind of astounding when you realize he's only 26 years old. And he's already put up more than 700 RBIs. In fact, he's one of the youngest ever to reach that plateau in the history of Major League Baseball. We're not getting many RBIs here lately. That's a strike at the outside. Cabrera, his numbers look great. He's hitting .328, 19 homers, but only 53 batted in. Back to the screen. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I think one of the issues for the Tigers offense is you have Curtis Granderson who's not putting up his typical year of hitting doubles and triples. He's hitting some home runs, but not getting on base. And Placido Polanco only hitting .265, 40 points below his career batting average. And Miguel Ordonez is struggling.
Base hit to right. And you can see there an indication as to why he hits .328.
That was a pitcher's pitch, low in the strike zone. I don't even think it was a strike, but he stayed on the ball and threw it and didn't chop it into the ground, but drove the low pitch. This ball gets through on a 3-hop scooter, and he just goes down and gets it and stays on the ball. If he tries to pull that ball, he's going to roll over and hit about a 6-hopper to shortstop.
Marcus Thames takes the ball inside. 93-mile-an-hour fastball from Clayton Richard. Thames hitting .272. He got 10 home runs in only 151 at-bats. If you ask any of the Tigers, they'll tell you Marcus Thames has more power than any player in the ball club.
He does. He's a dead pull hitter, though. 4 base hits to right field, 29 to left field.
That's foul.
Oral, he's a guy that really, he tries to hook everything and pull it into left field. You would think your approach would be, well, you know, keep it away from him because he's a power hitter. But what is the approach?
Well, I wouldn't keep it away from him because he loves to extend his arms, and that's the ball he can keep fair. When you run the ball in on him, you get that hard foul ball, and all of a sudden it's 0-2 on him. That ball on the outer half of the plate allows him to use the middle of the field. And so for the hooker, as far as a hitter that hooks the ball, using his top hand, you pitch him in.
Looking back to left field. And caught with a slide by Quentin. He was almost playing back in the bullpen for Thames. And he has come a long, long way. And he is replacing his divot.
Just back from an injured foot. Plantar fasciitis on his left foot, I think it was, that he has been out. Just now back, will be replaced defensively in left field later in the game, but right there proving that he is healthy enough to play, has the range and the ability to still get to the ball. A good break on that ball because those full swing broken bats are so hard for outfielders because they see the full swing, they expect the ball to go far, and then the broken bat takes the ball short, but a good read there by Carlos.
Now Ryan Rayburn, and he takes ball 1 from Clayton Richard. Richard has been starting here lately, but Bartolo Colon, the veteran right-hander, just back this weekend from the disabled list. In fact, he pitched very well here in the Friday doubleheader. And probably after this game, Clayton Richard is the guy who's going to leave the rotation and go to the bullpen. They only had the one left-hander, Matt Thornton, in the bullpen right now. So Ozzie Guillen figures that Clayton Richard could really help out, giving him another left-handed option in that pen. They haven't won a game here so far this weekend, but they were very pleased with the outing of Bartolo Colon.
Well, he wants him to be a great starter right now, Ozzie Guillen does, because they need a stopper. You got the run support. Now they want him to just keep pounding the strike zone with strikes and let the defense make plays behind him.
There's Colon looking on from the White Sox dugout. Runner at first, 1 out, 5-0. The White Sox are leading. Rayburn fouls one off the right field line.
Well, even though Richard, this could be his last start until Colon is in there solid in the rotation, Don Cooper, the pitching coach of the Chicago White Sox, really thinks that the organization will fail Richard if he is not a top-line, front-line starter someday. They believe he has the stuff and the potential, and it's up to the staff to bring him along. That's how high they are on this young man.
In the dirt, and Cabrera thought about it, then thought better of it with his club down by 5. He hangs at first.
Well, guys, that running catch by Carlos Quentin is, if I'm a general manager, Kenny Williams for the White Sox, I'm so relieved because watch how he's running. He's not laboring at all, and he looks like that foot is healthy. He's such a big part of this offense. Remember, last year before he got hurt, he was a candidate for the American League MVP, and Kenny Williams, the general manager, senior VP for the White Sox, has to be so relieved to see him moving as well as he did.
Well, did he look relieved to you?
Yeah, he looked like he's locked in on something now. You know, this time of year for general managers, there's not a whole lot of relaxation, and Kenny's one of those guys who, below the radar, has a lot of conversations, discussions going on, and he can make a big deal with anybody.
3-2 the counter. That's ball 4. Richard walks Rayburn. Pretty tenacious plate appearance there for Ryan Rayburn. That moves Cabrera over to second. 2 men on, and the Tigers leading home run hitter so far and leading RBI man coming up. Monday Night Baseball tomorrow night, presented by Holiday Inn at 7 Eastern. 2 of the best hitters in the game take the field. Manny Ramirez of the Dodgers, Albert Pujols of the Cardinals. Then Wednesday Night Baseball, 2 red-hot teams in the American League East will battle. Presented by Smirnoff Ice, Mark Teixeira, the Yankees, Carl Crawford, All-Star MVP, and the Rays at 7 Eastern. It's Wednesday night. So, Cardinals, until today, were the division leaders in the National League Central, but now the Cubs, I thought they just had a million problems. The Cubs moved into first place in the National League Central by a half game over the Cardinals today. Ball inside to Brandon Inge. Inge has got to be one of the toughest men in the game. He's playing with a very painful injury right now. He chases the high fastball. 1-2 the count.
Well, he's playing with a tear of a ligament in his knee. Some of you played 75% tear, so he is playing with the problem with that left knee. But one of the grittier players in Major League Baseball, tough kid.
Off the inside, 2-2. Clayton Richard has not done real well against right-handed hitters. Right-handers are hitting .313 against him. That's the 3rd highest batting average against any American League pitcher by right-handed hitters. But he went out of the strike zone again. Strike 3.
Well, that pitch has been a nemesis for Brandon Inge in his career. It looks so good, that higher-than-high fastball up in the hitter's eyes. And, you know, that's good pitching by Clayton Richards, saying, listen, if he's going to chase that high fastball, let me keep coming up and climbing in the zone. And Brandon Inge says, you know what, it looks good to me. I think I can catch up to it, but at 94, he couldn't get there.
It's almost an identical spot to the earlier one.
And Brandon Inge has the confidence to be able to hit or turn around any fastball, but at that location, it's not going to happen.
Now Gerald Leyland, 2 men on, 2 men out. Up and in, ball 1. Leyland, acquired from the Texas Rangers, and he has really been excellent defensively behind the plate, working the pitching staff. Pitching and defense has become the Tigers' strength. And this is a club that the last couple of years was right up near the top of the league. We're at the top of the league with their offense, but not winning championships. Last year, just a regrettable season for the Tigers, even though they were 4th in the league in scoring. But Laird has been part of the solution for them. That's a called strike right to the outside. It's 2-1.
When the Tigers traded Pudge Rodriguez back in July of last year, Detroit catchers have not produced offensively, though. They've only hit at a clip of 209, and Gerald Laird has gotten the bulk of those at bats. So the defense has been good behind the plate without Pudge, but the offense has been lacking.
And there's what you're talking about. He got jammed in that cutter, and the inning is over. 2 men stranded for the Tigers. They still trail 5-0. The big sluggers are coming up. Dye, Tomey, Konerko. Look out. Crowd at Comerica Park in Detroit. Tigers in first place in the Central Division. The second place White Sox. Tigers trying to make it a 4-game sweep this weekend against a club that has really plagued them the last few years. But it is 5-0 White Sox so far tonight. Rick Porcello, after a very rugged first inning, trying to settle in here, but facing the big sluggers. Jermaine Dye skies one. And one away as Ryan Rayburn called off the shortstop Everett. Dye walked his first time. He's gone here. Now Jim Thome will come up. Jim Thome, 558 career home runs, including 60 against the Detroit Tigers. Second highest total for any active major leaguer against one team. A-Rod, 65 home runs against the Angels. Thome's averaged just about 1 homer every 10 at-bats in his career against the Tigers. Called a strike. Check swing by Thome. He asks umpire Tim Timmons about that.
A Hall of Fame career for Jim Thome. You talk to White Sox players, they want to get back and try to win a World Series for Jim Thome.
The high strike, strike 3.
He hasn't gotten it before, and some of the guys that have been here back to 2005, they want to get him there and give him a chance to taste what it's like.
Jim Thome is universally respected and liked, a former teammate of yours, Orr.
I absolutely love playing with Jimbo, and his power's been there throughout the years. He's a hard worker, a great friend of Charlie Manuel, and Charlie was the hitting coach of the Cleveland Indians, now the manager of the Phillies, and the Phillies have gone off and won, and Charlie has his ring, but Jim doesn't.
Too high to Paul Konerko. He capped that 4-run first inning rally with a spectacular home run to left center. 317 career homers now, tied for 103rd. A guy who was a pretty good player, George Brett. Remember him?
Oh yeah.
But he wasn't a home run hitter when he first started. But he ultimately, as he got his bearings, he said, I really have to start hitting a few more homers, and he did. That's hit well. Deep left center, and no! Rayburn with a valiant effort, and it bounced up and finally over the wall for an automatic double for Konerko.
Another high fastball by Rick Porcello right there. Great attempt by Ryan Rayburn out there. Most ballparks would not hold this ball, and it would have been a home run, but here at Comerica it ends up being a double. But another high fastball, flat, 90 miles an hour. This one on the outer half. Konerko just taking it to the gap. Rayburn with a great try right there, but most people be running into the wall at any other major league ballpark other than here in New Shea Stadium. City Field.
A.J. Przinsky now with a curveball too high. The look from K-Zone brought to you by Cabot Stains. I'm John Miller with Orel Hershiser and Steve Phillips. Sunday Night Baseball from Detroit. Joe Morgan with his fellow Hall of Famers, and as I understand, about 50 members of the Hall of Fame gathering this weekend for the induction weekend. Ricky Henderson, Jim Rice, Joe Gordon. 3 new players inducted into the Hall of Fame today. Also, Tony Kubek, who was an outstanding big league shortstop with the Yankees and then an outstanding broadcaster. He won the Ford C. Frick Award, emblematic of being an outstanding baseball broadcaster. And Tony was one of the best in the business. And one of the great thrills for me as a broadcaster was the first national telecast I ever got to work for NBC back in 1986, and I got to work with Tony Kubek, and he was a great pleasure to work with. That's a foul ball, by the way. 3 balls and 2 strikes the count now to A.J. Przinsky. And Tony Kubek, we met the night before the game at the Astrodome, and Tony said, I suppose we should talk about working with each other. I said, yeah, okay. And he said, you're the play-by-play man, you're in charge, my job is not to step on you. And I said, Tony, do whatever you want, say whatever you want to say, and I'll just try to stay out of your way. How about that? That's not the way it works, he said. Anyway, it was a joy to work with, and a great gentleman as well. Congratulations to Tony Kubek. The inning is over. Konerko stranded at second. Porcello keeps them off the board. Nonetheless, the White Sox lead the Tigers 5-0. Just before they came to Detroit, an historic day, as Mark Buehrle pitched a perfect game in the 9th inning. Dwayne Wise had just entered the game as a defensive replacement at center field, and Gabe Kapler led off the inning for the Rays. And here's what Dwayne Wise did. One of the great defensive plays in a no-hitter, a perfect game, or just about any other game you could ever think of by Dwayne Wise. About 4 different times in that, when you watch it in slow motion, that not only he could have dropped it, it looked like he was going to drop it. I don't know how he held on to that one.
Just an amazing effort on his part, such a critical situation. And Mark Buehrle, second career no-hitter for him. And I tell you what, he's put together a pretty good career.
On the right side, this is taken by Paul Konerko. So Adam Everett leading off for the Tigers is out number 1. And we go to the top of the order now for Curtis Granderson.
The most impressive thing about Buehrle's perfect game for me was how relaxed he was through the whole thing and how he continued to attack the hitters. No matter how big the situation, when he got closer and closer to the end, he just continued to attack.
Curtis Granderson lined out to first his first time. He has not done well against left-handed pitching. Shows bunt, takes a called strike from Clayton Richard. 5-0. The White Sox are leading. Buehrle is a guy also who you don't think of him as an overpowering kind of a pitcher. As Granderson overpowers that baseball, but it was a little bit too quick on it. A spectacular foul ball. But Buehrle, I remember when he pitched the first no-hitter in his career a couple of years ago. You thought, wow, Mark Buehrle, he's the guy who pitches complete game 11 hitters, isn't he? That's a base hit for Granderson into center field. His first hit of the night.
He has 2 major assets. One is he gets on the mound and he attacks the hitter right away. He works very, very fast. The other is he could throw any pitch at any time, and especially his changeup. It was an outstanding pitch for him. You see the location and the movement on this changeup, and he's changing about 10 to 12 miles an hour off his fastball. He gets hitters out on his front foot. Then the ball is still low. Even though they hit it at him every once in a while, you got to get lucky if you're going to throw a perfect game. But that last pitch of the game, that ground ball to short, that wasn't lucky at all. It was a high-quality pitch.
Placido Polanco with ball 1. Granderson at first with 1 out. Well, Mark Buehrle not only pitched that no-hitter 2 years ago, now he tops it with a perfect game. And suddenly he's going to be in every discussion about no-hit pitchers. Granderson is picked off by Clayton Richard. Konerko, and finally gets with the tag. And that just can't happen when you're down by 5 runs.
It can't, but this is an outstanding pickoff move. The 6th runner this year that he has picked a runner off base. And It's all about whether you're the deception of the runner at first base. Watch Richard come up. You see the lead off from Granderson. He's not really going anywhere, although he takes the extra step. But as he starts to come up, you see him hang a little bit, and then he looks to the plate and steps toward first base. I mean, that's one that, he has been called for some balks already this year. He's got a couple balks against him. And that's one that, that he looked like he hung a little bit, looked toward home plate, and drifted a little bit toward the plate, and was able to turn his foot back toward.
Well, you're supposed to kick in the general direction of first base when you make a throw there.
Well, you're supposed to step toward the base, or at least a 45-degree angle toward home plate.
And the slider is low from Richard to Polanco. 2-1 the count to Polanco.
But you're right, John. You're down 5-0. You cannot get picked off in that situation.
Into the hole. Ramirez has got a strong arm, and he shows it off right there, and that's the inning. Gordon Beckham, the young sensation who hit a home run earlier, will be coming up third in the fourth for the White Sox. Presented by Taco Bell. We're at Comerica Park on a beautiful late July evening in downtown Detroit. There's Ty Cobb, 367 lifetime batting average, by far the highest batting average by any player in the history of the game. And for a long time, he had more hits than anybody until a guy named Pete Rose came along. Pete Rose finally broke that record, but did hit 367. Hit pretty well and hit a lot, but not 367. Carlos Quentin leads off for the White Sox against Rick Porcello. And the count is now 2-1 with Chris Getz and Gordon Beckham. All three of these guys at the tail end of the White Sox batting order. Young guys on the ascent. Here's a soaring fly ball. Maglio Ordonez in the foul round, and it's out of play, right in the spot where the stands come out real close to the field. And that's where it landed. 2-2. See how it cuts right out. There's a lot of room in foul territory until you get into that extreme right field corner. Same thing down the left field line.
And most of the new ballparks, the fans creep in even closer than here at Comerica. Plentiful foul territory for the pitchers to get some outs, but those foul balls that are just 6 to 10 rows into most stadiums are strikes instead of outs anymore.
Placido Polanco throws out Quentin. One away.
Look at Carlos Quentin's approach at the plate. He's somewhat unconventional with his back foot. A lot of times you'll see hitters with their back foot. As you watch that, a lot of times they'll get up on that back toe. Watch how he just kind of leans into it as he moves forward. Gets on it a little bit more there than he does, but look how he kind of flattens it out on the backside there. Doesn't get up on that back toe, so it's a lot of raw strength going into that swing and not much weight transfer.
Their hitting coach, Greg Walker, one of his tips to keep his hitters back from pushing off of that back leg is to leave their heel on the ground as long as possible. And some of the hitters have taken it to an extreme.
Rayburn in foul territory, and Getz is out number 2. And now Gordon Beckham will come up. Beckham, the young guy who got here rather quickly. And he's done so well since he arrived. It was almost like, well, what took them so long to bring him up?
Right. What are you waiting for?
He hit .411 in his last year at college at the University of Georgia. 28 homers. And in the College World Series that year, he hit .522 to make the College World Series All-Tournament team. That is too low.
Well, he really is a great story, and he's very patient at the plate. I mean, he's very poised. You talk about poised for a pitcher. You see that ability to take that borderline pitch and not have to chase. You know, a lot of times young guys come to the major leagues, they feel like in order to prove that they can hit, they have to swing at everything. He realizes that he needs to swing at a pitch that he can hit and that he can drive. Very good approach at the plate.
Gordon Beckham, 22 years old. He's from Atlanta. Draws a walk this time. So he follows up his line drive homer, which he had gotten ahead of the count. And this time, Porcello finally just says, "Well, I'm not going to do that again."
It shows a lot of maturity from Beckham also to, not just want to hit, that to allow the pitcher to get himself in a hole and take what the pitcher gives him. That is the first step of hitting, is getting good pitches to hit.
Change up to Pasetnik is too low. Pasetnik beat out an infield hit his first time, and that started a 4-run first inning rally. Grounded out his next time. He's hitting .311 for the White Sox. And how did he end up back with the White Sox? I remember in 2005 they got him, and they went from a team that was a huge power team to a team that stole bases, and he was kind of the poster child for that in 2005. Playing some small ball, or what Ozzie Guillen would call smart ball, and they won the World Series that year with Pasetnik at the top of their batting order. He's not the prolific base stealer he was then, but here he was not really part of the plan. They broke camp in spring training.
He was released from Colorado, picked up by Kenny Williams as someone they weren't sure was going to make their team or be on their team, but he has really caught fire and rejuvenated his career.
And helped rejuvenate this lineup.
He really has. He's taken over the leadoff spot, getting on base, seeing a lot of pitches.
There goes Beckham. And the throw is not in time. Leyland, he had a lot of obstructions there in his way. He had Pasetnik coming right in front of him as he lost his balance. And the pitch was difficult to handle in the first place, and still made a pretty good throw to second, but too late to get Beckham.
Leyland, one of the better throwing catchers in the game, but you see the pitch kind of inside, a tough pitch to throw. As you said, he had to go through the obstructions, but you saw a quick release and a strong arm, but Beckham gets in under the tag.
4th stolen base for Beckham. And that really was the play. You got a singles hitter at the plate, 2 down. Now he's in scoring position. Now a single could mean a run, and Pasetnik has been excellent in situations like this. Changeup from Porcello misses. Pasetnik is hitting .311 with a runner at second, or a runner at third, or both, what we call scoring position.
I think Ryan Rayburn in left field a little bit too deep right here for Scott Pasetnik. He's more of a contact hitter.
That's right to Polanco. And the inning is over. Stay tuned. In 60 seconds, we're going to visit live from the White Sox dugout with Ozzie Guillen, White Sox manager. The White Sox are leading here 5-0. as we go to the last of the fourth.
Ozzie, Orel, Hershiser, how important the big three in the middle of the order to your success the rest of this year?
Well, we need to, especially we need to keep those guys healthy. I think they start swinging the bat a little bit better. We struggle last 3 days here in that part, and hopefully they get better.
And they can't do it all themselves. How about the contribution of the young man at third base, Gordon Beckham?
I'll tell you what, he's played me a lot, because I think this kid never going to be around and be that good so quick, and gets helping also, but I think this kid is going to be a hell of a ball player.
Ozzie, beginning you get Pasednik on, and all of a sudden he's running. You're not going to rely on that home run, are you, for your offense?
Well, we need help those guys. The last couple of years, I'm managing here, we hit a lot of home runs. We have better speed now. I think our ball clubs is better balanced, and we scored a lot of runs with those guys on the bases.
Thanks, Ozzie. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you, guys. See you, Nate. Oh, Nate.
Said hello to one of his sons, who apparently must be watching. So welcome to any family member of Ozzie Guillen tuned in tonight to Sunday Night Baseball. Miguel Ordonez leads off with a base hit to left field against Clayton Richard.
Talk about the home runs so far in this game for the Chicago White Sox. Paul Konerko got a 3-1 fastball up the zone from Rick Porcello. Then he drove it out to deep left field. Then Gordon Beckham said, that looks familiar to me. How about my 3-1 fastball? And he powders that, keeps his hands inside, slashes it over the left field wall. That combination of youth and experience for the Chicago White Sox paying dividends tonight.
Cleanup man Miguel Cabrera takes a called strike on the inside. Cabrera single to right his first time. The corner infielders, the guys who are supposed to hit with power on that infield, and they have each hit with power tonight. So Cabrera fouls one back and out of play. Ordonez at first. The ballpark, Comerica Park, when it first opened, you had to hit it into the stands in left field to get a home run. This was the toughest ballpark on the planet in which to hit a home run, especially if you hit it out to left and left center. It was huge. It's still pretty big out there, but they put the bullpens out there a few years back. And that slider is low. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
The first big offensive signing here was Juan Gonzalez, and he complained so much about the ballpark. They didn't think they could even keep him here. They moved those fences in.
Now, Konerko would have had a home run in the old configuration, which by definition was a tape measure shot. Beckham would have had to settle maybe for a double, or maybe he would have hustled into a triple. Liner to left field. You can see how much room they removed from the distance you used to have to hit it. Konerko's home run was estimated at 402 feet to left center, and that was the power alley in those days was 390 something, 395. That is a base hit for Cabrera, and the Tigers have 2 men on with nobody out. And the powerful Marcus Thames coming up.
Well, what a good piece of hitting. We saw Cabrera's first at bat take that pitch down there and push it into right field. Now he just drops the bat head down on it and lines it into left field. So that's why we talk about he's such a tremendous hitter. You see this ball down and in again out of the zone. Just drops the bat head to it. Nothing too complicated. Clears his hips to be able to get the hands to the ball. Good piece of hitting.
A look from K-Zone brought to you by Cabot Stains. Powerful Thames, and ball 1. 2 men out and nobody out. This is a spot where Thames, if he launched one, all of a sudden the Tigers are a player in this game. They're down right now 5-0. Way inside and low. And now the catcher Przinsky takes time out. He's going to go counsel his young left-hander Clayton Richard.
A lot of times we see the left-handed power hitters, we see a shift in the infielders, but look where the infielders are playing. Now right now Chris Getz is over talking to Miguel Ordonez at second base, but they're playing the power shift over to this side of the field, expecting the ball to be hit. We talked about Tim's being such a prolific pull hitter. This is the shift for the right-handed hitter.
Ozzie Guillen with his young left-hander in a jam now. Center field. Pasednik in a hurry. He's got it. Tagging up at second, Ordonez, and he will go to third. Cabrera, who is 2/3 of the way to second, goes back to first. Porcello looked like he juggled that one for just a moment. It was spinning around in his glove, but he held on to it after a long run.
Take a look where Scott Podsednik starts right here. Watch his jump as the ball comes off the bat. It's all about that first step and reading it off the bat. Good jump at a good angle. This ball sometimes is tough when it's hit close to being directly off of you. Does a nice job coming up, hit the cutoff man, hold the runner at first base with a chance still for a double play.
Now Ryan Rayburn. 1 ball and no strikes. Rayburn walked his first time. It's still 420 feet. The straightaway center here, and in the spot where the left field wall meets the center field wall, which is more in the direction that Thames just hit that ball, it's deeper than that. So it's still, there's a lot of room to cover out there if you're a center fielder here at Comerica Park.
Well, that jump is really what got the ball. Steve was right. The route was very accurate. You have the two things, the jump and then the route, and then add that speed, and you can cover a lot of ground if you're Scott Podsednik.
Infield double play depth with 1 out. And the changeup down and away. 2-1.
The route, and you see the angle he took, the glove side on the right hand. So he's got this for a forehand, which is going to give him extra extension. If that would have been a little bit further, he'd have had more reach.
He chased the changeup. 2-2. Well, that little notch out there where the left field wall meets the center field wall, which is in the direction that ball was headed, that was caught by Podsednik. That's about 425 to that part of Comerica Park.
Remember old Tiger Stadium, we put 440 in straightaway center field.
It was listed that way. And then when they closed Tiger Stadium, there were some stories that kind of came out that maybe it wasn't quite that deep.
Really? Just to give the pitchers confidence?
I'll tell you, it looked deep and it played deep. And the old Tiger Stadium torn down now. Drove by that on the way in today, and it's being demolished.
3-2. It's hit softly. They get the man in the middle. No chance of a double play. Scoring is Ordonez, the Tigers' first run. Cabrera forced out at second. An RBI for Rayburn. It's 5-1 Chicago. Now Brandon Inge will come up. Brandon Inge, an American League All-Star this year. And his teammate Curtis Granderson. He took a mighty cut at that one. Running in the hands, fouled. It's 0-1.
Remember, in Brandon Inge's first at bat, he swung at a high fastball at 94 miles an hour. Right now, I'm sure he's gearing to get the ball down. With his bat speed and power, a home run right here is key with 2 outs. He's not thinking just base hit. He's thinking quality pitch and driving.
Meanwhile, Rayburn's got to be thinking, I just can't get picked off by this guy.
That was an outstanding move by Clayton Richard before, and he did a nice job leaning towards first base, towards home plate, and then breaking his back knee to get his momentum going back to first to create the pickoff move.
Blew it right by him. Down just above the knees. 93 miles an hour.
This is a little bit of a homecoming for Clayton Richard as well. He was a University, we talked about University of Michigan, but he was a backup quarterback for the Wolverines football team. Got a little bit of playing time before committing to baseball and signing with the White Sox.
Took something off that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He had 8 completions in 15 attempts in the few chances he had as the quarterback. 52 yards. Didn't say how many sacks. How many times he was sacked. Change up. And Beckham to Getz for the force out on Rayburn. The inning is over. In 60 seconds, we'll visit with Jim Leyland from the Tigers dugout with his ball club trailing 5-1. Tigers, the first place Tigers, 5-1 as we head to the 5th inning.
Now we have Jim Leyland with us. And Jim, we talked before the game that we know early about Rick Porcello and what he was looking like in his poise. What did you see from him in the first inning?
Well, obviously he walked the first guy and then made a terrible pitch to Ramirez. 2 strike slow curveball is not a good pitch, and then about 3 times this year he hadn't gotten over to cover first, and that cost him, so you saw a little immaturity.
Now what do you talk to him about when he comes in after that first inning, and how much further can he go in the game?
Well, he's on a short leash right now because of his pitches. I'll watch him, but I don't think you say too much during the course of the game. I mean, he knows he didn't get over there. I don't think it makes sense to go out in front of everybody and say something to him right then. I think you take care of it later on.
How important is he to your guys' success? Verlander and Edwin Jackson have been terrific, but behind him, somebody else needs to step up.
Yeah, that's a great point. They're all pretty young behind him, so that's one of our concerns.
Okay, Jim, thanks for your time. Good luck.
Jim Leyland, Tiger manager, got the Tigers in first place, and you see the Tiger starters, Verlander and Jackson, have been about as good as any top 2 starters in anybody's rotation. But after that, things have been a little less of a sure thing.
Roy Halladay would be a nice addition to the Verlander-Jackson 1-2 combination, but the Tigers don't seem to be in the mix at all in that trade discussion.
Two strikes the count to Alexi Ramirez facing Rick Porcello. After Ramirez, then the sluggers come up. Dye and Tomey. The high fastball he lays off, 1-2.
You're talking about Roy Halladay. I think Jim Leyland recognizing that they're not going to get that other starter, and they're not really in that market, that the bullpen's probably where they're going to need to address things. Joel Zamaya injured with his shoulder, but he suspects he's going to come back. But with Luke French, a rookie, and Rick Porcello in the rotation, 2 young guys. And there's Dave Dombrowski, the general manager and CEO for the Detroit Tigers. They're probably in the market for some bullpen help, maybe a backup catcher as well. But there's got to be some thought discussion. Rick Porcello might get us Roy Halladay. Would we be willing to do it? But the Tigers, with their payroll, with where they are as a franchise, not even considering that.
This is Everett from the hole. Nice strong arm there to get Ramirez 1 away.
If I'm making a deal for Roy Halladay, I think you have to understand you're going to have to give up something special. Blue chip prospects, your number 1 frontline guy, and likely a pitcher in return. I think that's understood. Then you can't worry about. I would not blow the deal on the secondary players. I'm not going to let a second or third guy on the deal hold me up. And then I think you have to move quickly. If you want them, you have to make a preemptive move to get them before somebody else makes the move. And then obviously, Halladay has that no trade clause. You're going to have to address that, get some time to talk to him. He does not want a contract extension, but you're going to have to give him something to waive that no trade clause.
Now, I did read, as Jermaine Dye has a count of 1 ball to 1 strike. Dye has walked and flied out. I read quotes from J.P. Ricciardi, the Toronto general manager, that apparently they got a list of teams that Halladay has already told them that he would approve a trade to.
Yeah, I think what Halladay has said is, look, I want to play for it and have a chance to win. I've made my money. I've established my career. I want a chance to win. So I think that's the guiding light right now for the Blue Jays is a team that has a legitimate chance to win. So that's why you're hearing about teams like the White Sox and the Phillies and the Red Sox and Angels and Dodgers.
Out toward left center, Granderson, 2 down.
I'll say this though, I'm surprised that it's taken this long. I mean, it's easy to recognize how good Roy Halladay is. Jim Leyland says, look, he's the best pitcher in the American League. I don't, it's his opinion. Other people may think a guy here or there, but he's one of the best certainly. And if you can get him, I'm just surprised that teams aren't making a preemptive strike.
When he submitted his list of teams already, do you think he's already given his price tag on the no trade clause?
Out in right field is Polanco to throw out Jim Tomey. And that's the inning. 11 pitch inning there for Porcello, perhaps his final inning. 20th season on Sunday nights, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. We have the Tigers first place in the American League Central, the White Sox second place in the American League Central. Tigers have won the first 3 games of this series. The White Sox are leading this game 5-1. It's always difficult to ever call a game a must-win, but certainly a game the White Sox look at it as a very important game, because they're also getting ready to head to Minnesota, which has been a nightmare for them and for a lot of teams over the years. If they were to lose this game, they'd be 4 games out as Gerald Laird drills one right to Beckham at third, 1 away.
Oh, we've talked about Miguel Cabrera, how important he is to the Tigers offense. We saw this game tonight, 2 quality at-bats. This is trusting your hands. He has that unique ability to make an adjustment as he's swinging, taking that ball down and in and going the other way. Then that same pitch down and in, and he's able to clear it, clear the hips, and pull that ball into left field. He's an outstanding hitter. The best hitters that hit for average hit from line to line. They go to right field, left field, back up the middle, and he has that unique ability to hit for power as well.
But he has not been hitting for much power lately and not knocking in runs. That batting average is staying up there. Now, some of it maybe is the guys in front of him are
not getting on
like you would expect them to, Granderson and Polanco. But at the same time, even when they have been getting on, he had not been real productive. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
His first at bat tonight, no one was on when he got the base hit. His second bat, there was a man on first, and he set up the only run.
And that was a spot where they needed base runners. This is Getz. He hurries, and he got it. Adam Everett is retired. 2 down. And here's Dari Noka in the studio with the Sports Center right now. Granderson takes called strike 1. Granderson is lined out and singled. He's 1 for 2. Angels by 3.5 over the Rangers. The Rangers are hanging in there under Ron Washington in the American League West. But it's amazing that the Angels lost Torrey Hunter, then Vlad Guerrero went down, and then they erupted. They've been the best offensive team anywhere in any league since that time. They have about 6 or 7 guys hitting 300. And talking about playing little ball, you got a bunch of little guys who are real fast switch hitters. They steal bases, they go from first to third, and they seem like they're on base all the time. You got Maiceres, Torres, Eric Ibar, and name a guy. It looks like they're all the same guy out there.
Well, who knew that Torrey Hunter and Vlad Guerrero were holding them back, right?
Seemed like they were pretty good players for him, but obviously they were killing him.
Well, teams have a tendency to take on a manager's personality, and Mike Scioscia was a very scrappy player. He didn't have the speed of his Torres or Ibar or Figgins, but he could really get offensive production out of a lot of different ways out of his own body, and he expects that of his team.
2-2 to Granderson facing Clayton Richard. That's a swing and a miss, but he's going to reach. He swung at a wild pitch, and Krasinski could not keep it in front of him, and so Granderson strikes out and reaches base.
Curtis Granderson, we talked about his struggles against left-handed pitching, and you can watch his kind of rear end flies. He kind of reaches for the breaking ball down and away, and it's awfully tough to be able to play with that kind of swing. You see him kind of break down his swing, reach, extend his arms, but at least the instincts and understanding that as it gets away, you get on base.
Here is Placido Polanco. Has flied out to right, grounded out to short. Shallow right center. There's Jermaine Dye. Polanco is 0 for 3, and the inning ends before Ordonez and Cabrera get a chance to do some damage. Paul Konerko coming up. We go to the 6th.
Lincoln, reach higher. And NCAA Football 10 in stores now. EA Sports. It's in the game.
Line, a great former Tiger and much beloved here in Detroit. First ball swinging, Paul Konerko against Rick Porcello, who's still in there. And for the first time, he retires Konerko, who hit a tape measure home run in the first inning with a man aboard and then ripped it double into left center his last time up there. But this time he's gone on just the one pitch, the 94th pitch thrown by Porcello, so he stays in there, although Zach Miner is up in the bullpen. A.J. Przinsky coming up before this big crowd at Comerica Park. But Porcello's a guy they've been watching very closely. He's averaged just a little over 5 1/3 innings per start this year, and he's only had one other year in professional baseball. Last year he was an A-ball, but in a 7-inning game in a minor league doubleheader, he had a no-hitter going through 5 innings, and they took him out. And he had a quote after the game that, "Did it bug you? They took you out after a no-hitter for 5 innings." And he said, "Well, no, but I'd like to have pitched a no-hitter, but I had a pretty high pitch count." The pitch count, 73 pitches. So that was last year in A-ball. Now it's a year later. But Jim Leyland, he's only pitched, one time in the last 3 weeks.
So they're making a concerted effort to protect this young arm at 20 years old. Jim Leyland will say that the pitches at A-ball are less strenuous than the pitches at the big league. So it's not about the pitch count. It's about bringing the young man along and protecting him.
That ball is dropped and kicked. Ryan Rayburn had it and dropped it. Now he throws into second, and Przinsky beats it. Wow. What happened to Rayburn on that one? He dropped it, and then he started playing soccer with it.
Well, it was a slicing line drive into left field, and Rayburn's angle was kind of an odd angle as he was going to it. I think he realized it, but he reaches, and the ball's tailing back, hits the heel of the glove, and then hits the ground, and almost kicked a field goal, but able to recover. And A.J. Przinsky made it close because he slowed down going around first base, paused for a second, was still able to get back in there. Kind of an odd angle, kind of hit him right into the heel of the glove and kicks away. Tough play.
And that will also be the final play of the night for starting pitcher Rick Porcello, who has been removed by Jim Leyland. And Zach Miner will head in from the left field bullpen with a runner at second and 1 out. And Carlos Quentin coming up for the White Sox, who lead 5-1. Should have been 5 2/3 at least, because that was a catchable ball for Ryan Rayburn, and Rayburn ends up being charged with not just 1 error, but 2 errors.
The ball hitting off the heel of the glove, back like a highlight Cessna. Is that what you say, John? How did he pronounce that?
The Sexton.
Sexton. Yeah, kind of a basket that came through, and then he got the second error because he couldn't pick it up.
Except the good highlight player doesn't drop it.
No, well, they do.
He catches it, and then he fires it back to the other, off the other wall. Here's Zach Miner in from the Tigers bullpen for his 27th appearance of the year, including 4 starts. Miner has gone 5-1. 50 and 2/3 innings pitched, 59 hits allowed. He inherits a runner at second. That's A.J. Pierzynski. Carlos Quentin at the plate. And the sharp breaking ball, 0-1. 5-1. The White Sox lead the Tigers. So you are a highlight aficionado.
With spring training down in Florida,
you used to frequent the Frontons down.
Yeah, the Frontons too. Boy, you're dropping some lingo.
The fact that you don't know the lingo, that makes me understand you're not an aficionado.
Well, I am not a highlight aficionado. I do not understand the vernacular. Excuse me.
So you enjoyed it, though.
I did enjoy it. And with you, with San Francisco Giants a lot in spring training in Arizona, how come you know so much highlight?
Well, I used to broadcast for Baltimore with spring training in Miami.
Okay, there we go.
It was not a question of just going to watch the highlight. Just which Fronton shall we frequent tonight? Yeah.
Fronton frequenting. How about you, Steve?
It's all about baseball for me, guys. All about baseball.
Yeah, but then the game ends, and then what?
Good point.
2-1 the count to Quentin. And Polanco throws him out over to third base. Goes Pierzynski. Quentin is 0 for 3. He's grounded out 3 times. He's the guy the White Sox like to get going because last year there were times where he carried the club for a week to 10 days at a time.
5 hits and 21 at bats since he's been back, and still looking for his stride. Coming into tonight, the 0 for 3 tonight, so he's 5 for 24 since he's returned. No home runs, which they're looking for a little power production from him, but you can see the intensity in his eyes. He wants it, and he'll get his legs back.
Well, he missed the last month of the season last year with an injury and was going to be in the discussion for MVP in the league. He had 36 home runs and missed the last month of the season. Chris Getz, young second baseman, and he has flied out to right center and fouled out to left.
Well, we had a look at young Rick Porcello. What positive thing can he take out of this start?
The raw material. The raw material for him is still there. He just got to get his location down. And early in the game, find his legs coming out of the bullpen. Because he really did start to find some rhythm. But he never really had any secondary stuff. The curveball wasn't there for him tonight. But the fastball is so good, he can live with one pitch as those other pitches come along. Most of that damage right there, those 5 runs and 5 hits, a couple walks, that's all first inning jitters. 4 of those runs in the first inning. 4 of the first 5 batters scored.
And a save there by Gerald Laird with a runner at third. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Getz. Gordon Beckham on deck. Well, if he had covered first base in a timely fashion in that first inning, that whole inning might have just been a 1-run inning.
Right. On Jim Thome's ground ball, Jim Thome decided to attack him on the first pitch with bases loaded. He threw a good sinker right down the middle of the plate. Got a ground ball to first. Didn't get the double play because he didn't get over.
1 run would have scored on the double play, but he would have had 2 outs and a runner at third. Konerko then came up and hit a home run. But that might have been a different story as well. Obviously, he was a little riled knowing that he had failed to cover. Right to third. And the squeeze put on it by Brandon Inge. Konerko stranded despite the double error. Now the big hitters. Ordonez, Cabrera, Marcus Thames coming up for the Tigers.
up here in Oakland, setting the record here at home.
One of the 20 years of baseball coverage on ESPN. May 29, 1990, Rickey Henderson breaking Ty Cobb's all-time record for stolen bases. Rickey would go on and steal more than 500 more bases after that, sort of adding on to the record a little bit. It's always good to have a big inning, but you always need to add on. So Rickey Henderson ended up with 1,406 stolen bases. And that was a game, a record-setting night, covered on ESPN. Rickey went into the Hall of Fame today, along with Jim Rice and Joe Gordon. Maglio Ordonez against Clayton Richard, and that's a base hit to right field. Maglio, with his second hit of the game, twice he has led off innings with base hits. And now Miguel Cabrera, the cleanup hitter, coming up. Rickey Henderson, 25 years in the big leagues. Tony La Russa said he thought probably Rickey is in such great shape he could still help somebody, even right now. 10-time All-Star, MVP back in 1990. Jim Rice, who at his peak was the most feared slugger in the American League. And Jim Ed in the Hall of Fame today. It took a while for him to get the votes, but very deserving. 3-time American League home run champion. Guys used to come out during batting practice at Fenway just to watch Jim Rice take batting practice. He was the guy in the American League at that time that everybody wanted to watch because he put on such an incredible show. And you couldn't get him out of the lineup. I remember when I broadcast Red Sox game one year, he injured a hamstring. He was limping around, kept playing every day, then injured the other hamstring and kept playing despite that. He said, well, it evens it out now. That's the deep part of the yard off the bat of Cabrera, and Posednik makes the catch. And then finally, Rice one day, Chris Knapp. Remember Chris Knapp? As Joe Gordon was another who was voted into the Hall of Fame by the Veterans Committee, and very deserving, and a guy who was a winner, that's for sure. A 9-time All-Star. He was on 5 World Series champions, an outstanding second baseman. You had Joe Gordon, you knew you had a great chance to win it all. Here's Marcus Thames now, the runner at first. Jim Rice got hit in the wrist by a pitch by Chris Knapp with the Angels. He threw hard. Rice ran the bases, went out, played left field a couple innings, came up again against Knapp. Hit one to the center field wall that got caught near that big doorway out there at Fenway. Went back in the dugout. That was the last we saw. The next word we got was that they'd taken him to the hospital for x-rays. He had a broken wrist. Wow. So he hit one about 390 feet to the center field wall that got caught with a broken wrist. That is Tony Pena, acquired recently by the White Sox from the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's now warming up in the White Sox bullpen back of Clayton Richard. And Thames takes the ball. Thames has been victimized by a couple of fine defensive plays. A shallow fly ball to left on which Carlos Quentin made a sliding catch, and a deep fly ball to center that Posednik ran down his last time. That's 3-1. This is a guy who can hit him a long way. Tigers are down by 4 at the moment to the White Sox. 5-1 to Chicago. And it's a walk for Thames. The 2 men on with 1 man out, and Ryan Rayburn will come up. Jim Rice, of course, was also the third in a long list of great Red Sox left fielders playing in front of that big wall at Fenway. Ted Williams for 22 years, minus 2 different wars. Carl Yastrzemski, and then Jim Rice. And he was a teammate of Yastrzemski for several years. And they were both guys who ended up having many an argument about hitting with Ted Williams, who was for a long time a spring training instructor for the Red Sox. Don Cooper, the pitching coach for the White Sox, out to conference there with Clayton Richard. With 2 men on and 1 man out, and Ryan Rayburn coming up.
Say that I'm not sure I'd ever want to argue with Jim Rice. I mean, he was an intimidating force as a player. He had 37 career home runs against the Detroit Tigers, second most he had against any one team in Major League Baseball. So a guy that I grew up in Detroit, saw him just powder the Detroit Tigers in his career.
Here's Rayburn. It's a called strike. Rayburn has walked, hit into a force play, although on the force play a run scored, the only Tiger run, so he has an RBI. This is a big at bat in this game, and Richard has struggled against right-handed hitting much of the year. The fastball is up and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 men on, 1 man out in the 6th inning. Ordonez at second. He singled. Thames at first. He walked. Brandon Inge, the Tigers' home run leader, is on deck. And time is taken.
A huge at bat for Clayton Richard. Development of a young pitcher at 25 years old, pitching out of a jam. When you know you don't have your best stuff, you're into the 6th inning, you're creeping up on 90 pitches, and you have to learn the art of pitching and using your secondary stuff. Right there, a good changeup away at 81 miles an hour. A 1-1 pitch gets backed into a fastball count and doesn't throw a fastball. Have a little room to breathe with the 5-1 lead, but you know it's a key at bat when you're out there.
Well, now he's in on the count to Rayburn. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 men on, 1 man out. This could be 2. Beckham 1 to first. 2, a double play. And just like that, Richard gets out of the jam. We head to the late innings now. Beckham coming up, then the top of the order. The White Sox lead it 5-1. From Comerica Park in Detroit. I'm John Miller with Orel Hershiser, Steve Phillips, Joe Morgan at the Hall of Fame for the induction weekend. He'll be back with us next Sunday in Atlanta. Next Sunday night at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. We'll have the Atlanta Braves, who are a resurgent club. They won big time today in Milwaukee. And they've won 8 of 11 since the All-Star break. Hitting well, pitching well, doing everything well. They'll take on the first place Dodgers, the team with the best record in all of Major League Baseball, next Sunday night from Turner Field, Atlanta, right here.
The Braves have had the starting rotation, the pitching depth, and now the offense is starting to come around a little bit. So some of the acquisitions making a difference, getting healthy, scoring some runs.
Gordon Beckham, the hitter, he has homered to left and walked and stolen a base. That was against Rick Porcello now, facing Zach Minor for the first time. 2-1 the count, as you see. White Sox starter Clayton Richard in the dugout. He has been very impressive. 6 strong innings on a night when they're asking him to be their stopper, having lost 3 in a row to the first place Tigers.
One of his quieter moments. He's been on the field pitching and also in the dugouts, had a lot of camaraderie with his teammates. But on the mound, he's had the good four-seamer working, a changeup down low and away, a cut fastball. He's shown the whole repertoire, a curveball that he's had working at 79, and then also a slider at 87. But I'll tell you what, he's also having a lot of fun. Mark Buehrle and he've been duking it back and forth in between innings. They've been throwing some stuff at him, goofing around with him. They're trying to keep him loose with the pressure of a possible last start before you maybe lose your turn in the rotation, go back to the bullpen. He's even giving high fives, cheering on Gordon Beckham at third base for the double play.
Beckham started an inning-ending double play in the 6th. But other than Mark Buehrle, you don't see many starting pitchers who are that animated in the dugout between innings.
Relievers, yes. Starters, very, very few.
Scott Pasednik, the hitter, with Beckham at first. Remember, Beckham stole a base the last time he was over there. Pasednik is singled. He hit an infield hit, a little chop over the head of Tigers starter Rick Porcello, and that began a 4-run first inning rally. Since then, he's grounded out twice. He's 1 for 3.
I'm surprised if Ozzie can't put something on right here.
Beckham back. So Tigers thinking the way you're thinking, Steve.
Hey, listen, tack on some more runs here. These are the guys who want to do it. You've got the big power bats coming up in the lineup, but these are the guys who can manufacture runs. Start Beckham, let Pasednik, one of the better contact hitters in the game, try to put it in play.
There's a drag bunt. Minor gets it and retires Pasednik. Nice play by Minor as Beckham has moved over to second. It's a sacrifice for Pasednik, although it looked like he's trying to bunt for a hit.
Trying to drag it by him, but if he doesn't get the hit, he gets the runner over. But a nice play by Minor, just sliding to his knees and grasping that ball. Pasednik just doesn't get the angle he wants to really get it over towards second base, and Minor cuts it off. If that gets by the pitcher, it probably is a hit. Minor does a good job falling towards first base, taking his momentum that way and fielding the ball.
So sacrifice bunt, runner in second. Slider down and away to Alexi Ramirez, who has singled to left, grounded to second, grounded to short. He's 1 for 3. White Sox lead 5-1 here in the 7th. You remember old-time baseball man who played the big leagues? He was a coach. He was a manager. Connie Ryan. You ever know Connie Ryan?
No.
He used to call that kind of a bunt the double dip. He said the idea was, manager tell you got to bunt the runner over, but try to beat it out.
So you got a single dip on that one.
Well, it was the double. It was the double dip. You can't lose if you're the hitter.
That's right. It's a sacrifice or a hit, either way.
Exactly.
So if you don't get the hit, you don't get charged with it at bat.
Go for it.
Or you might get the hit and move the guy over. Your average goes up. You can't hurt your average.
Brett Butler, who I played, was one of the best bunters I'd ever seen. Could not sacrifice bunt. He'd have to bunt for the hit to lay the sacrifice down. He was not good at just squaring around and staying still. He saw the ball better and made better contact and more accuracy with his bunting by being on the move.
Butler told me that literally, if you took away all of the bunts that he had for hits, he hit for such a high average, just bunting. His career average was 25 points or so lower without all the bunts. And instead of hitting 285 or whatever, he's just been a 260 hitter.
Then you think about all the hits that he got because of the threat of the bunt where the infield was playing in, that he slashed it by the infielders. So an important part of his game, but you know what? He was one of the best at getting it done.
That's a foul ball by Alexi Ramirez. The power comes up after Ramirez. Tommy Konerko. This is Sunday Night Baseball from Comerica Park in Detroit. The White Sox, who came to town Friday, tied with the Tigers for first place in the American League Central, then lost a doubleheader Friday. Lost a lead late yesterday and the game as well. And now find themselves 3 games out and needing a win before they leave Detroit, or they'll have lost 4 in a row to the Tigers and 4 games in the standings.
Their offenses woke up tonight. In those 3 losses prior to tonight, they had only 7 runs, 5 tonight. Their offensive production has to go up for them to contend, Steve. They've averaged 4.6 runs a game. That's 11th in the American League. And this White Sox team needs to hit.
I think that we talk about the power bats in the lineup. I think Carlos Quentin's a huge part of that as well because he was so important. And this guy, Alexi Ramirez, had a great season last year. Slow start this year.
3-2. Miguel Cabrera will take this one. So Alexi Ramirez is now 1 for 4. 2 down with Beckham over at second. In that first inning, Pasedic just a little chop over Porcello's head for a base hit. Then Ramirez with a single to left. Dye walked, and then Thome hit this would-be double play ball, but Porcello did not get over to cover in time. The ball ended up being thrown away, and 2 runs scored, and right after that, a 2-run shot, a blast, a big fly for Paul Konerko. That made it a 4-run first inning, and Porcello will perhaps be thinking long into the night, what if he had gotten over in a timely fashion, covered first base, got that double play? The inning could have been much, much, much different. Jermaine Dye has walked flight out twice. See the standings after the Tigers won the first 3 games of this series. Although this division is still sort of open for all 3 teams up at the top. Twins have been getting clobbered most of the week.
Their starting pitching has started to shut down a little bit.
He lost Kevin Slowey, it looks like, for a long period of time. Was some bone chips near his ribs, so he's out for a while. He's an important guy in that rotation.
Odd injury. Mariano has not been on the bump very well.
Mariano was 4-10, 4-11. Breaking for third, Beckham. And now the throw, it might have even hit Beckham, but he will hold there. The play backed up by Adam Everett as it got away from Inge.
I really like Gordon Beckham. I mean, we've seen him do so many different things in this game alone. The home run, the walks. Now it's base running. Read the ball in the dirt. Anticipate, go, hustle. And Gerald Laird has an outstanding arm. Short hops Brandon Inge right there, but some real grit from Beckham. You see the funny slide right there. We saw him take a funny slide earlier this year on a head first slide where he did a chinner and took his chin into the dirt at second base.
Jermaine Dye walks, second walk of the inning, and now big Jim Thome will come up. That'll be scored as a wild pitch, and as you saw in the replay, the ball took a crazy hop but did not hit Beckham. It just ended up deflecting off the glove of Brandon Inge.
The other thing that's been impressive, that double play to end the last inning from Beckham, that's a shortstop playing third base. So, to have 2 shortstop caliber defenders on the left side of the infield when you have a ground ball pitcher on the mound, it's a huge asset for the Chicago White Sox.
Here is Thome. He's 0 for 3 with a run batted in. Chases that changeup. It's 0-1. 38 years old now, but still much feared, much respected. And the Tigers have that familiar shift on. 3 infielders to the right of second. Polanco, the second baseman, well out into right field. And it's ball 1. And he's a guy that pitchers have been pitching around for a long, long time. Thome is always among the leaders in walks. He's walked 60 times this year. Right-handed hitting Konerko on deck.
The slower the left-handed hitter is, if it's David Ortiz or Carlos Delgado or Jim Thome, I'll tell you what, they can get really deep at second base on that shift.
That is Casey Fiend, the right-hander up in the Tigers bullpen. Two and 2.
See that approach there. We see the change up down and away, and then we saw the fastball up and into Jim Thome, changing his eye level, changing the velocity. That's difficulty catching up with that high fastball. He's got a little hole in that up and in area with the right velocity and the right pitch sequence.
This time he lays off.
Jim is hottest when he is laying off that high fastball or fighting it off. There are very few people that can hit it. But when Jim Thome is in his prime and is the hottest is when he stays away from the hole in his swing.
Now they're going to talk it over before this 3-2 pitch. But you were in Cleveland, but Thome was he was a young guy.
Yeah.
Manny was a young guy.
All the pups. Albert Bell, Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, Paul Sorrento, Carlos Baerga. It was I mean, we had our 9th hitter, Sandy Alomar, had 20 home runs.
Was Omar Vizquel, was he there?
Omar Vizquel.
You should have paid to pitch on that team.
I did.
That
Kenny
kind of
Lofton, Omar Vizquel. It was unbelievable. Just ask John Hart. I gave him a deal just to come play for him. They were averaging 7 runs a game.
Well, that's another walk, and he has walked the bases loaded. And here comes Paul Konerko. MLB.TV, the ultimate baseball experience, featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer. For more details, visit MLB.TV, where baseball is always on. Tiger fans and a lot of families at the ballpark tonight on this beautiful summer night in Detroit, where hard times have visited the city. The unemployment rate in June was listed at over 15%, the worst in the nation. And a lot of people look at the Tigers as being a relief from all the toil and strife. General Motors had an ad that they paid a lot of money for, and then with their financial problems, they told the Tigers, we're not going to be able to keep doing that. But Mike Ilitch, the owner of the ball club, said, well, we're going to keep that up out there, and we're going to put Chrysler and Ford out there as well. And you say that beneath General Motors, it says the Detroit Tigers support our automakers. So he probably could have sold an ad out there to replace the General Motors ad for more than $2 million, but giving it to the big 3 automakers here in Detroit in a show of community unity. Minor departs. Casey Fiend coming in with the bases loaded, and slugger Paul Konerko coming up. Steve and Oral will be there with the game tomorrow night from a unique location, as Casey Fiend makes his major league debut, just brought up in the minor leagues from AAA Toledo yesterday. You see his numbers with Toledo, and he inherits a bases-loaded spot with Paul Konerko, one of the most feared sluggers in the game, at the plate, and he's fallen behind Konerko. 2-0, and there's nowhere to put him.
That's not good. We've seen Konerko take a 3-1 pitch and hit it out of the ballpark, and a 2-1 pitch and drive it into the left center field. 2-0 pitch, driving the left center field gap, sitting on that fastball.
3-0. A.J. Przinsky, a left-handed hitter, is on deck.
And I would expect him to have not a grand slam here, but a green light.
You call it a grand slam, Oral?
Well, it could be a 3-0 green light. I'll definitely think he is not taking if he hits this high fastball. Put it on a tee for him.
It sounded to me like you were calling that one. I don't know.
If I was on the bench, I'd be wrong. And if he hits one, I go, I called it. I called it.
Oral Hershiser said that he would be shocked if Konerko does not hit a grand slam right here.
Thank you, John.
Today. That's the way I heard it. Yeah. 3-1 the count. Bases loaded, 2 down. Strike 2. Konerko keeps heading off to first base, and Tim Timmons keeps calling him back.
That was a pretty good pitch right there. I mean, that's painting the black down and away. 3-1 count with big powered bat at the plate. If it's close, Cabrera probably should swing right there.
Well, I'm glad he took it for a strike because he's still got a chance at a grand slam.
That's something in his eye, it looks like, though.
Beckham at third, Dye at second, Tomey at first, and they'll all be ready to take off here with a 3-2 count to Paul Konerko. There they go. And he got a piece of it. The runners will have to go back. So Konerko's got 8 grand slams himself. The White Sox would like to open this up more because each of the last 2 games of the series, they were not able to hold leads against the Tigers. They lead right now 5-1. Bases loaded, 2 down. The runners go. A soaring pop-up. Inge with that extra foul territory in this park has it. Casey Fiend in his major league debut goes to 3-0 to Paul Konerko with the bases loaded and lives to tell about it. Clayton Richard with a big lead. Stretching here at Comerica Park, but the hometown team, the Tigers, are down 5-1. Now, all week, you've been helping us at ESPN celebrate our 20th season of Major League Baseball coverage. The 20th year All-Star team voting at ESPN.com, and this year the designated hitter has been the featured vote. Edgar Martinez, David Ortiz, Frank Thomas, the nominees. Thomas, of course, a great first a first baseman and then for many years a DH with the White Sox. But Edgar Martinez of the Mariners won the voting with 48%. Thomas had 30%. Big Papi 22%. And I remember Dusty Baker, pretty good hitter, great hitting instructor, once said when Edgar was still playing, he said that he thought Edgar was the best right-handed hitter in the game. And here is Clayton Richard to Brandon Inge, and quickly ahead of him, 0-2. He has struck out Inge and also gotten him to hit into a force play. Inge, that bad left knee, not only causing him a great amount of pain, but maybe causing him a great amount of trouble at the plate. He has not hit well during the month of July. He is thrown out by Alexi Ramirez. Inge is hitting only about 170 in the month of July now. Richard, 99 pitches for the game. And it's the second time this week that he has been superb as a starting pitcher. Matt Thornton, a left-hander, and Tony Pena, the right-hander, up in the White Sox bullpen. And he's given the White Sox a lead when they badly needed it after losing the first 3 games of the series. Laird to Ramirez, and Ramirez throws him out.
I'm sure Jim Leyland's going up and down his dugout, though, talking to his guys, reminding them, listen, we've got to the White Sox bullpen in this series. The White Sox, a lot of power arms in that pen, but they have struggled of late getting the big outs. Bobby Jenks at the end of the game had some bad luck yesterday, but he had kicked a few games, so Leyland wanted to try to keep the pressure on to try to narrow that deficit and try to get them late.
But meanwhile, Richard has taken them fairly deep into this game already. 2 down in the 7th. Adam Everett takes ball 1. Everett has popped up to first and grounded out to second. 5-1. The White Sox lead the Tigers last of the 7th. From deep in the hole, Ramirez, 1-2 hops, out! And the inning is over. Everett didn't think so. Andy Van Slyke, the first base coach, didn't think so. But Rob Drake thought so. And quite a play by Alexi Ramirez. On to the 8th inning. 5-1 Chicago.
Autotrader.com. When you search for a car on Autotrader.com, you can narrow by model, color, and price. Find the exact car you want at Autotrader.com.
Here's the rookie, Casey Fiend, throwing ball 1 to A.J. Przinsky. 5-1, the White Sox lead the Tigers here in the 8th inning. I was impressed with that play made by Alexi Ramirez to end the inning, although the Tigers felt like the play was so good, maybe it actually didn't really get made. And Jim Leyland went out and had a little discussion with Rob Drake, the first base umpire, about it afterward. But you don't see that very often. You see, since the days of Dave Concepcion on the artificial turf, that one hop throw there. This was a 2-hop throw, as if he were throwing from the outfield to try and nail a guy trying to take an extra base. You don't see too many 2-hop throws on the infield.
You're right. Davey Concepcion invented that throw to hop it across the AstroTurf going to the hole in Cincinnati in old Riverfront Stadium. It looked like Alexi was just going to make sure he got it to the ground on 2 hops instead of 1.
A.J. Przinsky draws a walk against Casey Fiend to start the 8th inning.
I think Ramirez tries to get out of his glove as quickly as he can, and he holds on to it a little long. I don't think he meant to get the 2-hop, but he tried to get it out as quickly as possible. Konerko gets the stretch. Rob Drake, the first base umpire, ball's in the glove. It looked to me just before Everett's foot hits the ground, but it's a bang-bang play either way. An outstanding effort. I tell you, Alexi Ramirez, some kind of athlete. Jim Leyland saying, you know, the way I saw it from way on the other side of the field, my dugout, was that he was safe.
If the guy has to bounce it twice, the guy is safe. If it had been the one bounce, okay, I could see that. But it's a little different bouncing it twice when you're not on the artificial turf.
Oh, yeah. The grass eats it up, grabs the ball.
Carlos Quentin, the hitter, in the dirt. Nice save there by Gerald Laird, the Tigers catcher. And it's a ball and a strike.
It is that play from Ramirez that makes you understand why the Chicago White Sox said, you know what, I know he played second base last year, but he could be an everyday shortstop because that's some kind of athletic play. Orlando Cabrera, the shortstop last year.
And that's why Gordon Beckham comes to the big leagues and they ask him to play third base. Not only come to the big leagues as a rookie with very little experience, but come and try a new position. And Gordon Beckham has done a great job doing that.
Adam Everett was the guy he threw out with that 2-hop throw. Himself a shortstop and an excellent shortstop. Maybe that's why he was so upset. You can't bounce it twice on grass and get me out. Come on. That's it for Carlos Quentin, who is now 0 for 4. Marty Aronoff, our statistician, notes that Ramirez had already thrown out 2 guys in the same inning. Maybe he just didn't have enough left to make a 1-hop throw to first.
He ran out of gas a little bit.
I think his arm's got enough caliber and bullets in there to. I think he get it 3 throws. Come on, John.
Cal Ripken.
Or I should say, come on, Marty, huh?
Yeah, Marty. Come on. Cal Ripken always used to say the most difficult play for any shortstop is to play from deep in the hole going toward third base. You got to make the throw in a hurry. It takes a while to get there on a ground ball. And you got to get a little something extra on it at the same time. Chris Getz, the young second baseman for the White Sox, 0 for 3 tonight after a lot of hot hitting in the month of July. Getz, out of the University of Michigan, back here in the state, playing before, as Ernie Harwell used to call them, the Michiganders. Slow chop, and there is Everett. 1 to first, 2, a double play. Gordon Beckham stranded on deck, and Casey Fiend looking pretty good out there in his major league debut. Top of the orders for the Tigers. 7 o'clock Pacific, or rather Eastern time. What time zone is that?
Central.
If you're in the Eastern time zone, 7 o'clock. Say if you're here in Detroit, but if you're in Chicago, Central time, it'd be 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And Curtis Granderson grounds out of the first pitch here against Clayton Richard, who has been superb with a second consecutive start. Wednesday night baseball presented by Smirnoff Ice. The Yankees and the Rays down in St. Petersburg, and that should be a lot of fun. The Yankees with that great lineup there atop the American League East right now, and they are on a roll. They won again today, and they now lead the Boston Red Sox by 2.5. The Rays are 6.5 out in the American League East. But what an exciting ball club and a fun club to watch. So an enormous amount of talent when those two clubs are facing off.
On offense in that one. We're looking forward to our game with the Cardinals and Dodgers. Chris Carpenter against Randy Wolf, and Buehrle and I are going to be doing a little bit something different for our telecast. Buehrle's going to be down the first base line and either side of the dugout. I'm going to be down the third base line on the side of the Cardinals dugout. We're going to kind of have a different perspective in calling the game. Dan Schulman, our play-by-play guy, will be up in the booth, so a little bit different way to telecast the game and for us to watch the game.
Well, why does he get to be in the booth?
You know, he's a diva.
Yeah, he gets the black tie service.
Send him out to the bleachers. Polanco skies one to shallow center to the new center fielder, Dwayne Wise, with Pacetic moving over to left. Quentin out of the game now. And let's go to the studio for Dari Noka with the Sports Center right now. Congratulations to them all. Also, we mentioned Ricky, Jim Rice, Joe Gordon, Tony Kubek won the Ford C. Frick Award, much deserved, and Nick Peters won the Spink Award for excellence in baseball writing. Veteran baseball writer, covered the Giants for many, many, many years, and much respected in the San Francisco Bay Area. And that shot hit by Ordonez, but right into the glove of Pacetic. Clayton Richard, his two easiest innings of the night were these last two. 7 pitches in each. He's given them 8 strong and a 5-1 lead. of the order for the White Sox, Scott Podsednik and Alex Ramirez.
I'd say that Casey Fiend has shown himself very well for Jim Leyland in this bullpen, coming in, throwing strikes, being able to start a hitter off with a breaking ball for strike one.
Ooh, and strike two, for that matter. So if you've done it for strike one and also strike two, what about strike three?
Buehrle.
Oh, this is where the waste pitch comes in.
I'd throw another one. Why waste time?
That wasn't really a strike. It was a ball, and Beckham made it a strike. There's your waste pitch. Now, I don't like one that is that high. I think anytime you're going to set a hitter up or use the waste pitch, you want it to be out of a window that you want to use later in the count.
1-2 the count to Beckham, who has a home run and 2 walks. Deepest part of the yard, Granderson is there. A lot of room to go back and get one out there.
Well, tonight has been about pitching and pitching of Clayton Richard. You see him getting a shaking hand there, but first pitch strike. See, pitch one at the top of your screen. These are all fastballs for strike. Clayton Richard came into the night averaging 17.3 pitches per inning. That was 4th highest in the American League. Tonight at 14 pitches an inning, and that's because he's attacking the zone with his fastball. It's his first start back from Mark Buehrle's perfect game, and I think the example of Mark Buehrle attacking the zone with all of his pitches has really helped Clayton Richards. He has a living example of what it takes to be successful, and also throwing from the same side as he does, the left-handed side.
When you throw a first pitch strike, it allows you to use your secondary pitches more effectively. 16 out of 30 first pitch strikes for Richard. On the other side for Rick Porcello, 9 of 24 first pitch strikes.
1-2 now to Podsednik, and the look from K-Zone there was brought to you by Cabot Stains. Clayton Richard, 113 pitches through 8 innings. It's the second straight start that he's thrown 8 innings and only allowed 1 run. And yet there's so much talk that tonight was probably going to be his last start, at least for a while, with Bartolo Colon back and having thrown a very strong start. And even manager Ozzie Guillen said, well, it'd be kind of a waste of time to put Colon in the bullpen as Podsednik goes down. And Fiend has his second strikeout. Clayton Richard has been superb, whether he's going to the bullpen in a few days or not. Tonight as a starter, he was huge for the White Sox, who needed a pitching hero after losing 3 in a row here. Chevrolet is proud to recognize today's best and tomorrow's future, supporting youth baseball nationwide. Clayton Richard, our Chevrolet player of the game.
I think the other reason his outing is important was it stopped the bleeding a little bit, but also they may be in the Roy Halladay sweepstakes. And what he did tonight was marketing for Kenny Williams, the general manager, to say, you know what, this guy could be a starting pitcher in a deal. Maybe he's the lead guy in the deal.
Alexi Ramirez out. A.J. Przinsky heads back to the mound. The bullpen is going. We may have seen the last of Richard. 5-1 White Sox. would be the Tigers here at Comerica Park this year. 31-15 before tonight. And that's the best record they've had at home through 46 games since that magical year 25 years ago, 1984. Sparky Anderson's Tigers jumped out. They were 35-5 after 40 games. And they went wire to wire and then won the whole thing, beating the Padres in the World Series. They were just a little bit better after 46 games at home that year than these Tigers. Tony Pena, acquired recently from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And he has not done well with the D-backs so far. He got a 5-1 lead here. And Miguel Cabrera hit 2 singles and has flied out to center at the plate for the White Sox. Tony Pena has not done that. No, what did I say?
It's okay.
He was doing well enough. He was doing well enough with the D-backs that the White Sox traded for him, but he's not done well for the White Sox so far. Cabrera with 2 singles, hitting .331 for the year. But we're talking about how he's not had many RBIs lately. He only had 1 at bat tonight. Well, no at bats with a runner in scoring position. He's hit 2 at bats with a runner at first, hit a single one time and a fly ball out the next time. Got a little bit on the hands that time, and a pop fly caught by Dwayne Wise. Dwayne Wise, that's just a boring play for him.
Doesn't he need to slide in and catch that on the run or something?
Major League Baseball congratulates Joe Gordon, Ricky Henderson, and Jim Rice on their induction today into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown as we celebrate Hall of Fame Day at all the ballparks around baseball. Some of the Tigers' all-time greats and Hall of Famers commemorated here at Comerica Park. A historic franchise with a rich history. 1 out, Marcus Thames, the hitter. Tigers have not had a base runner since the 6th inning. Clayton Richard went 8 innings, 1 run, 5 hits allowed in his start. Thames has flied out twice and walked once. Jim Leyland's Tigers are headed to Texas. They've had this big showdown series with the Tigers and the White Sox here. Now the Tigers go to Texas in the second place ball club. It's in a hot race over there in the American League West, 3.5 back of the Angels.
Both these teams move forward with tough schedules as they finish the month of July and go into August.
He swung at it. It's 2-2.
Well, Pena really fits the mold of Kenny Williams, likes what he likes for his bullpen. They like power arms in that White Sox bullpen, and Pena's a guy that can light up the radar gun. He needs something to offset that high velocity, though.
Right back beneath us. And was that caught by Phyllis or Jerry Phillips?
No, I don't.
That foul ball?
I don't believe it was. Mom and Dad are here at the ballpark tonight.
So this is a home game for you.
It is a home game for me. It is. Did you guys see the statue out front?
The Steve Phillips statue?
Yes, made out of popsicle sticks. Mom and Dad put it together tonight. I saw them assembling it as we got to the ballpark early.
No, that wasn't it.
That wasn't it?
That wasn't it.
Oh,
that Cobb guy. Somebody put that Cobb name underneath that statue. But it's good to be back home, and obviously it's been a tough run for the city of Detroit over the last year or so, and it's great to see them out of the ballpark. What a great crowd tonight, and they're turning out to support the Detroit Tigers.
Just not much to cheer about, though, for the Tigers on this night, but a lot to cheer about over the weekend. Been a big weekend for them. I'm sure they would have gladly said yes if you said, would you have accepted a 3 out of 4 from the White Sox this weekend? Because the White Sox, the last 4 or 5 years, have won 2/3 of their games against the Tigers. They've just been destroying the Tigers. But this weekend, the Tigers have turned that around big time. 2 down in the 9th. Ryan Rayburn, who has walked, hit into a force play, getting an RBI, the only RBI of the night for the Tigers, and he grounded into a double play his last time. Paul Konerko, 2-run first-inning homer to cap a 4-run rally. Gordon Beckham, a solo homer in the second. White Sox have not scored since, haven't needed to. Clayton Richard was the reason. And you have a guy who pitches twice as Bobby Jenks, the closer, and Matt Thornton, the left-handed ace, up in the bullpen just in case here in the 9th. You're going to send a guy to the bullpen who just pitched 2 8-inning games in 1 week, giving up 1 run both times? And a pop-up. Here's Beckham. And the ball game is over. The White Sox needed a win, and they will head to that chamber of horrors, the Metrodome, for 3 nights. The third member of the pennant race here in the American League Central, but only 2 games out of first. Not